What's going on, guys? Welcome to part 3 of the build series on my 2002 2500 HD. In this video, we're going to be cleaning up the frame a little bit more, welding on WFO frame plates, and getting a pretty detailed install on the off-road design solid axle swap kit, all those brackets and stuff. So we're going to be going over that, and I was going to include all the axle work in this video, but that's a lot of footage. This is already a 20-minute video, so I'll upload the all the axle work and maybe the install of the axle in one video in a few more days. So with that said, enjoy. Any questions, feel free to comment, ask. If you need a specific video on something, just let me know. But yeah, thank you for watching. Stay tuned for the next videos.
So we're now at the point in the project where we're welding on these frame plates. The other side is done already. I did it kind of as an experiment. I've never used this welder before. I had to get my settings dialed in. Got my little fucking steam fitter cap on, and we're welding this thing in now. So basically what I did was I ground this whole thing down, and the plate is not concave. It does not go into the indentations in the frame that are there for the control arms. So basically that means there's going to be a gap between the frame and this plate on, in between them. And there's still access for moisture from behind because the holes for the control arms where they were go all the way through. So I didn't want to grind it all down and then just weld this over it. So I ground it all down, painted it, and then just ground along the edge. So all under here is all black painted metal. So now I've put some pretty healthy tacks. I've actually fully welded this little section right here. So the other side's done, painted, completely done. I still have to weld on shock hoops, but those are not here yet actually. So I'm just gonna get a little footage of me welding this in fully. We'll paint it up, show you what the other side looks like, and then this is done. And I actually got the off-road design solid axle swap kit in the mail today, so we can move on to mounting those brackets. We gotta be careful not to warp the frame when we do this, so we're kind of gonna do it in small sections. We're gonna alternate. Alright, so the frame plates are completely burned in. We're going to hit it with some matte black Rust-Oleum paint, just to stop it from rusting in the meantime. This whole truck's going to get blasted underneath and undercoated, so this will get better coated then, but we just need to prevent rust for now, so that's what we're going to do. Cool. These frame plates are in. Show the other side real quick. All right, so clearly this bracket goes here. The instructions say use the tow hook mounting hole, which is that one, to get it mounted and then drill the rest of them. See where I torched off the WFO frame plate, just the end of it, to clear the off-road design bracket. So basically here, it'll never touch here. So I actually look in this hole and make sure it's touching in there. And if I can't fit anything between the two, then I know it's in place. So I know I got this brush here, it's kind of funny. I just needed a little bit of pressure on there and my jack wasn't quite reaching. So again, the tow hook hole is your 0. Angle it up, put it in that one first, put your bolts through. You will have to clearance the body mounts slightly. So once you do that, put it in that hole, you basically, I ground it down a little bit, took some of the rust off, fold it up, and put some pressure on it, get it in place, and you're gonna drill these other holes out. And that's what we're gonna do right now. And then the rear shackle, we're gonna measure and get that mounted. Check for hardware fitment. Perfect. Testing out these Milwaukee 7/16 titanium drill bits, just what I saw at Home Depot. I was originally going to get the DeWalt ones, but they actually didn't have them. So we'll see how these perform. The DeWalt ones didn't do bad. Hardware fitment. Perfect. Alright, so you guys got the idea. I'm going to drill out the other side, get this bolted up, and I'll show you how we're going to measure out for the rear. Alright, so now we can see shackles mounted. Basically, once you get that drilled out, I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's 10 bolts, I believe. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, sorry, 7 bolts. I thought I miscounted earlier. But yeah, it goes on pretty good. It's a nice bracket. They make good stuff there. So that's that. Now we're going to position ourselves in the back of the truck or under the front over there and measure out 46.5 to the center of a certain hole on the bracket. I'm going to make sure my other side is 46.5 because if it's off by 1/8, I'm going to do the same thing. It's more important that they're parallel to each other than being, you know, 1/8 off. So let's get on that. See what we can do. Alright, so let's talk about these off-road design brackets and the instruction booklet for a second. We are now towards the back of the mounting procedures. So here you can see what they look like. Sorry, these got rained on, so you're gonna have to deal with it. There they go, showing you the tow hook hole is what you're using. So, just telling you how to orient the brackets. What we care about right now, what we're up to, is on the back, and that is this. So you can barely see it, but there's a measurement there. There's a line going from that hole down and over and up to this hole. So they're measuring, so this is the bracket, right? This is going to the rear of the truck, this is towards the front. So you'd have to imagine that there's like they're looking at this from that side of the truck looking this way, right? Because the bracket is going to be right there on the truck like that. So this is the back, this is the front. So they're giving you a measurement, 46.5 from the center of this hole to the center of this hole, which is this guy. So it looks like the line is actually going behind that hole. I don't know if you guys can see that, but in the wording it says center to center. Forwardmost upper shackle bolt center line, 46.5. So we care about centers here. We're not going to the edge of the hole. We're going dead center of this hole. From dead center of this hole is 46.5. So basically, another procedure that I've been kind of leaving out is after I get everything drilled and bolted up, I unbolt it all and hit it all with paint. I just have some matte paint between the brackets, and I grind down the frame rail a little bit and hit that with some paint just so no corrosion goes on between the two parts. So with that said, we're going to get under there, we're going to position this, get our mark, drill, right? Then once it's all drilled, I'm going to pull off whatever bolts I had in there holding it on, you know, because I'm using it as a guide for the other holes. We're going to grind everything down, hit this with some paint, hit the frame with some paint, bolt it on for good, and then we're on to hanging leaf springs. We're going to go do a final torque through of all the hardware. Once everything is torqued, we'll hit these with a grease gun, and the front suspension is mounted besides the shocks. So let's get into it. Okay, welcome to the underside of a 2002 2500 HD. So basically that bracket is going to go right here, right? So from the front shackle hole, I had my dad come over. He held me on the center of the hole, the shackle bolt hole, and I'm about there right now, and you guys could probably see that scratch is right at about 46.5. It looks like 49 backwards, but you get the idea. This little mark right here, I know you guys can see it, I can see it on the camera, is that's the center of this hole on the bracket. I'll show you right now. So I don't know if you guys can see through through that hole, but that's our center, right? So now I'm gonna get my C-clamp. I'm gonna tighten it down a little bit first. Keep in mind, this is a bitch. A little bit of persuasion. A couple taps forward. And we're there. So you can see that scratch I made right there, centered on that hole. So this is where we're drilling. Now it looks like it's off, but it's making contact on the other parts of the frame rail. So it's just how it's designed. Start drilling some of these fuckers. 7/16. I just want to make sure of a couple things. Yeah, I mean, we're pretty good. And that's how you do this. So I'm going to drill the rest of these because it's just doesn't make sense for me to film all this. I don't know if I can have the camera catch all of them. So I'm going to finish these up, and I'll bring you back when we're ready to grind down each side, hit it with some paint, and bolt it up. Alright, these are all drilled now. We're going to take the bracket off. I got two bolts in there, just kind of keeping it centered. It was good that it just moved like that when I took the clamp off. It means it probably didn't move when I was drilling. I don't think it did. these out. And more metal shavings. Cool. So now what I do is I hit this portion of the frame with a flap disc, get this corrosion off, and hit it with some paint before I throw the bracket over it. I also hit the back side of the bracket with some paint as well, just to prevent corrosion between the two, or you know, on the two surfaces. So with that said, I'll start up this generator. I'm doing this in my driveway. I don't even have an extension cord long enough that reaches to my house, so I'll start up the generator. We'll hit this with a grinder, hit it with some paint, and then I'll hit this with some paint, and we're ready to bolt it on, and we'll start that. There's a big storm coming, so I don't know if I might just throw 2 bolts in it to keep it there. We'll see how much time I have. Supposedly in a half hour it's gonna start pouring, so we'll see what I can get done. Remember, this isn't about looking pretty, this is about rust protection. The whole truck, once all this mechanical work that I'm doing to it is done, is going to go to get the whole frame blasted and recoated. So I don't really give a shit that it's green. I ran out of black. It's just to protect it for now. So, with that said, we'll hit the inside of the bracket, start getting some hardware in this thing. Alright, so it downpoured for a minute, like an hour or two. So, I don't know if I got it all on camera, but this is torqued. This is ready to get a leaf spring mounted, and then we're going to torque the hardware in the front. So basically I just ended up getting this wrench in there. The swivel end was nice. I was able to put it down in there, get it against the bolt, tighten all that shit down with a ratchet. They recommend like 40 foot-pounds, 38 foot-pounds, something like that. I just got them good and tight. The nuts are not perfectly circular. They're pinched a little bit. I know there's a term for it. I'm not sure what it is. But they kind of stop themselves from backing off. That's why I don't know if you heard, but like even in the beginning when I was putting these nuts on with the impact gun, it was like impacting because it gets tight right away because this thing is not perfectly circular by design, so it doesn't get loose. So anyway, we're going to mount the shackle, mount the leaf spring. I'll just show you guys how that's done. I figured, you know, it's kind of a meat and potatoes part of the whole thing, so I might as well show it even though it's pretty simple. So what I like to do personally is get the shackle mounted on the leaf spring first. Go. Happy with that. Gonna get this bitch in here. The nut goes on the other side of there in that pocket. If you wanted to, you could actually weld this nut to the bracket and you'd have a captured nut there, which would be kind of nice. So, got this big fucker. It's 13/16. So it's a 13/16 bolt and a 7/8 nut.
we gotta mount the front. Now, I want the grease fitting to the inside, just to match the other side. Get that up in there. Nothing comes easily with this shit, I'll tell you that. That's how you do that. While I'm here, I'm actually going to torque these down a little bit also. Alright, brackets to torque, leaf springs hung, that's how you do it. Move on to the next part. So this is the passenger side of the truck after the leaf springs have been hung. I just want to annotate something. These plates from WFO and the brackets from Off-Road Design, they would contact each other here. So before you weld these plates on, just trim off the end. You don't need this little piece here. It's not going to make a difference. The frame is pretty strong as it is. So I know on Off-Road Design's shop truck, they didn't even use frame plates. That's probably why they don't have it on their website, that they would interfere, even though it's a common thing that people use the WFO plates and their solid axle swap kit.